Hey guys, welcome back to Shed video number 3. Super excited. I lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm super excited. So I've got a couple things I want to talk about in this video today, namely the size, the shape, and the style of shed that I picked to go in this yard. But before that, I wanted to let you know that the shed's been ordered. You knew that, and it's going to be delivered in a couple weeks. So super excited. It'll be arriving here pretty soon. I bought a DIY kit so I can install this thing and build it myself, but I'll get back to that here in a little while. First, though, let's talk about the shed that I picked and why I went with this size and the rough shape and the style that I went with. So I'll bring up a little bit of a rendering here in a minute, or you probably can see it here. That is something that our landscape designer did for us when we were kind of redoing our yard, and in it, I asked them to place a shed in there so I could kind of have a rough idea what that would look like and how it would impact the layout of the yard. And I really, really love the look. And I've talked to you guys already before about what the shed is going to mean to me and is doing for me personally in my work and my career and all that type of stuff, and my excitement for video. So as I'm looking at this, I originally went with a 6x8 shed size. And that's what I had them designed to. And that was cool. And it seemed like it would work out and it wouldn't take up a lot of space in the backyard. After a little bit of time, though, when I was kind of measuring things out and looking at it, I realized that I did actually need a little bit more space. And so after a bit of thought, I decided to bump that up to an 8x10. Now that I'm looking at it now, it would be amazing if I could do like a 10x12 or even an 8x12. But for the sake of maintaining the structure of the yard, we have rather kind of a longer yard. It's not super wide, but all of our yard is kind of on one side of the lot because our property sits in a way that our entire yard is kind of on one side, which is great. It just also means I really don't want to eat up too much of the usable space for entertaining and people to sit and walk around with a shed in the back. So I wanted to make sure I compromised between the space that I really could use and be practical with the space we get to use for entertaining. So I decided to go with 8x10, had the pad poured, and the whole concept there is I wanted enough space to have this desk that I'm working at now in part of the shed so I can do work. I can be, work remote, which I do a fair amount, and be comfortable. And then also have an area where I can have my geeky stuff, which you can't really see over here, but like a lot of bobbleheads and Star Wars Legos and books and other electronics that I want to make sure are on display or that I just keep. I also really want to have a corner or a place where I can set a stool of some kind of with a corner behind me to be the recording area, because I really want to be able to have a cool looking background, have a camera on a tripod or something like that, and do recording as I do more and more videos. So that was a big part of the placement and the size. And hopefully 8x10 will be enough room for me to work and figure that out. And if I end up needing more space later on or what have you, then we'll just get more creative. Style-wise, in the design, I believe they actually went with a kind of a gable-style roof, kind of a classic house-style system, and it looks beautiful. What I noticed, though, is with all those designs, the way sheds are constructed, unlike homes where it's a box because you have a ceiling and then walls, everything is the same height inside. Sheds don't have that because they're not as tall, typically, as a house would be. So in a gable style, the height of the walls is the set height of the walls, and then you have open space in the middle. And because they're only maybe 8 feet wide, your room is not typically, it doesn't feel as big as it would if you had a normal room, like the space I'm in now or your room at home. So I decided to do something a little different, and I went with this style, which is a single slanted roof. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. It also accomplishes, by doing this, it gives me one kind of 9-foot tall wall inside, and then a 6-foot in the back, which gives me plenty of space to work with, I feel like. Just my personal preference. It also does have one thing. We did something called, or the contractor calls gold fines, or I just call decomposed granite, in a lot of space in the backyard, in addition to our concrete pavers. And what I was worried about with having the kind of classic gable style roof is that with water runoff during rains, I'd have to do a rain gutter system so water isn't pouring onto the gold fines constantly, creating, in addition, outside of normal rain, creating sort of like a forced drop of water, creating kind of a muddy or a trench in the gold fines. So by going with a slanted roof behind the pad, our contractor actually put a almost like a French drain, but it's a hard pipe that connects in with the rest of the drainage they built into the entire yard with rock on top. So as water rolls off the roof, it's just going to fall down on top of rock, so it'll minimize splash. It'll also minimize water runoff anyplace else, and will collect into the normal drainage system that is happening through the rest of the yard. Water will get rushed away real quick. Won't have to worry about any sort of like erosion and other problems like that, which is great. I didn't want to have to deal with that in the long term. So that's a pragmatic more thing that I did. As for the sort of general style, also in the design you saw here a minute ago is the door they placed is facing into the yard. And that looks really nice, and probably a window that faces the other direction. What it doesn't show you in this design is that the part of the shed that actually faces toward our house, or probably in this design towards the kitchen, it actually faces west. So what I really thought would be nice is to have the style that I've shown you, where I have these two big doors that open on that side, and those face directly west. So during fair weather months, and anytime really, the sun's coming over the top of the shed and dropping facing to the shed as the day ends. In fair weather months, that means I can have those doors open. It'll be nice and warm outside or comfortable outside, and I can have great natural light coming into the office, making it feel very open and airy and relaxing rather than closed off and like cave-like. Because the shed style that I had up here with the door there and the big window would still feel kind of like a closed-in room, and I wanted to avoid that. I want to be able to close those doors so I can do video recording, be on calls for work, whatever, but have them open whenever I want to a very comfortable, relaxing setting. So that definitely encompasses a big part of the idea of this shed is form and function, absolutely, to do more videos and work and house my things, etc. Also, I wanted it to be really a more of a mood generator or a mindset reminder. I want it to help reinforce the growth mindset that I want to try to strive for at all times, and really help me look towards this journey of goals that I'm working on, not just the goals themselves. And like being in a space that feels more open and inviting, you can kick your feet up and just get some work done whenever you need to, or just get up and walk right out very comfortably, and you don't feel like it's a closed-in space. I'm really hoping that does this, and we'll go from there. I'll have to install a window myself because it doesn't come with really any windows other than the one, I think they call it a transom window, that is above the doors that comes with it. So on the side that actually faces into a yard, one of the first major customizations I'm going to do during the install process is installing a big, I think probably a 48 inch by 36 inch high, 48 inches wide, 36 inch high window, because I really do want to get a lot of other light from the room, from the yard, but I want to make it feel like it's a little bit more open too. So when I'm working inside there, I can see in the yard and it feels more open on both sides without having two doors. So super excited. It'll be here in a couple weeks. And as we get a little bit closer, I'll have a couple more videos about a few of the other final touches I really want to research and understand before the shed physically gets here. Things along that line are installation of the floor. This comes with a flooring kit, so there's floor joists. There's almost a box that gets built to set down before you build the shed walls and all that on top of it, and put a flooring sheets of plywood on top of that. So I really want to insulate that to really help make sure this is a comfortable space. And then things like, what sort of insulation should I put in these walls? Doing sheetrock. How am I going to run the electrical? How am I going to bring the network and power into the shed? Things like that. So more to come. Super excited. As always, if you have any questions or comments, put them below. I would love to hear your input or your feedback or any suggestions. One thing I am looking for is, you can't see them now, but I've augmented my room with some lighting, and I've got these two small LED light panels, they're probably 6x8 on tripods right here in front of me to help with some of this lighting. Still testing this out a little bit. I've noticed though that I don't really want these tripods sitting on the ground when I'm out there because I don't have a lot of space. So I'm interested in seeing if there's a way that I can attach these to some sort of rail system that I can mount in and around the walls. So if you have any ideas or if you've seen anything, please send it my way or send me a link. I'd love to understand that and figure out how I can use that for lighting or TV display, displays, whatever else, for teleprompters or for TVs to watch TV on. Just anything I can do to optimize the physical floor space that I have so that things aren't out in the ether around me. I can hang them up or put them aside and then clip them in place when I need to do something quick. Always looking for all kinds of optimizations like that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today. I will be back soon with another video, and we'll see you then. Bye.